All right, we are live. We are live. We are live. We are live. Let me jump over onto what he called real quick and let people know that we are live over on YouTube again.
Heck yeah.
Give me 1 second. Should have done this already. All right.
Light it up. Nice.
All right. I dropped the link there. Let me see. Hold on. So story. Post to groups. Yeah, why the fuck not? Let's post. There we go. Post it up. All right. So, all right, guys. So, as people start coming in, we'll get rolling here. But we're live tonight with, as usual, Jay Blizzy from American Cultivars. And our guest tonight is Gary HESHDAHL from Roots Organics. Gary's been with them. This is his second tour at Roots Organics. We're going to get into some products, a little history on, how he was there from when they first started out. We'll get some history about the company. And you guys can jump in, throw up some questions in once we start rolling in. And, we'll address them as they come in. But again, it's Gary HESHDAHL from Roots Organics. Gary, thank you for coming on tonight, brother. I appreciate it, man. I know you guys are busy, and I really appreciate you coming on and taking the time, man.
Yeah. Hey, I'm super stoked to be here. Thanks for the invite. Glad to talk about Roots Organics and be here with you guys.
Awesome. So let's take a minute to kind of just familiarize some people. Some people are, don't know, might not know what Roots Organics is about, and whatnot, how they started, how long they've been around, changes that have come in the company, that you've seen from your tenure there before. And now, we'll just get into a little bit of the history of it and whatnot, because you were there in the beginning. And, and we'll start taking questions as they roll in.
Nice. Yeah, I'll give you a little background. So Roots Organics started in the early 2000s. I'm going to leave a little bit of it for a trivia question later, I think, because I think I might even be able to stump you, Big Red and Jay Blizz, on some of the first products that Roots Organics made. But in any case, in about 2000...
We're gonna actually. I forgot to say we're gonna actually be doing. We're gonna be giving away some stuff tonight too. Gary's cool enough to throw in some of the Uprising line, some of the Terpene line. So later on, we're gonna do a little trivia and give some of that stuff away. We're gonna give away an Aero mixer. So let's get rolling. Sorry, I forgot that.
No worries. I think that'll be a good lead in. Think about if anybody's got some background on Roots. Think about what the first product that Roots Organics made. If you got an idea to that answer, you've probably been around a long time on the Roots Organics game, but I think it might even stump you guys as far as the very first products that Aurora Innovations made. I should clarify. Aurora Innovations, the parent company to Roots Organics. So they started making soils in 2005, soil and nutrients, a bunch of conscientious gardeners based out of Eugene, Oregon. It's actually kind of a mecca for fertilizer and soil production for the cannabis industry. So I started with Roots Organics and Aqua Serene, which was the sister company to Roots Organics and Aurora Innovations back in 2011. I used to manage the retail store back in the day. So Aqua Serene was a chain of grow stores that was owned by the same folks as Roots Organics. We had one in Ashland, Oregon, Eugene, Oregon, and Seattle, Washington. So Eugene was kind of like the hub. It was where everything started for Roots Organics. It's kind of funny. It actually started out as a fish store. So the previous owners, the Weiner family, they had a store called Aqua Serene that was freshwater and saltwater fish. And they got this idea about selling, getting into the hydro world and selling metal halide lights. It was like the same kind of lights that they would use for a lot of coral tanks and saltwater fish and that kind of deal. And so that's kind of where Roots Organics began, was in the side of a fish store. And it very quickly grew to being more business than what the fish store was doing. And then they opened up an even larger section that was all dedicated to hydroponics and indoor and outdoor gardening. So in 2011, I started working there. I started managing in 2014. Sales were great. We did really well up until I ended up leaving in 2017. I went to go work for Cutting Edge Solutions, another great company that's based out of White City, Oregon, a bit south of us. They make some great products there. I got a lot of love for Uncle John and Sean, the new CEO there. He's Uncle John's nephew. And then after that, I got an offer from Hydrofarm, an offer I couldn't refuse. And I moved over to Hydrofarm, and shortly thereafter, Hydrofarm was in a transition period. They were originally an employee-owned company, and then they sold to private equity, which then went IPO. They went public on the stock market. Roots Organics was acquired by Hydrofarm in the middle of 2021. And so it's been a Hydrofarm brand ever since. And so it's been a long time coming from me, managing the retail store back in the day to actually becoming the brand manager for Roots Organics. I've been using and selling these products for over 15 years now, and I'm really excited to join you guys and tell you more about it.
Awesome. Yeah, I started using them. It's probably been 8 years now. I think 8-9 years that I've been using them. So I think one of the first products that I got was the fuck was it again? Wasn't the Green Light? I think it was
Green
called.
Light, yeah.
Green Light. I think that was one of the first products ever used by them, and then as stuff progressed, I got, I went away from it, and whatnot, but great product, that was probably
one of my favorite soils, to be fully honest.
I was gonna say probably one. That would be, well, I'm not even gonna say it, but that's definitely one of the oldest ones that they have. I know that for sure.
Yep.
But how would I put? I'm trying to think where to go from here. All right, so they've always been, Eugene is where the home turf for them has always been. It's because I know that I always get stuff, it comes different, it comes from different places and whatnot. So I'm always curious if there's some of the other stuff that when I get it comes from like where some of the manufacturing places, right? Like I know that.
So the base manufacturing plant is in Eugene, Oregon, but Hydrofarm has distribution centers across the United States. So we've got one in Gresham, Oregon. We've got one in Fairfield, California, Fontana, California, Denver, Colorado, and Shoemakersville, Pennsylvania, which I bet is where you probably get a handful of shipments from.
Where it comes from, yeah.
One of the things I wanted to talk about was about Roots is, one of the reasons, that their products are so good, so clean, so successful and whatnot is because you guys actually own from almost basically from field to store shelves as far as like peat bogs, et cetera, bat caves, stuff like that, right? Can we get into a little bit of that?
So we're vertically integrated in that respect. We pop our own perlite here. Perlite pops kind of like popcorn. It's made from an obsidian ore that's we actually get our ore from, I think, the Klamath Basin region. So then we own some peat bogs. One of the pieces of the acquisition that came over with Aurora Innovations was Aurora Peat Products. It's a peat harvesting and manufacturing facility up in Edmonton, Alberta. We harvest peat there. That's where all the peat comes from that we use for Roots Organics. They actually make some of their own mixes as well through Aurora Peat Products. They make a couple professional potting mixes that we actually distribute down here in the United States as well. So as far as cocoa fiber goes, we can't really grow cocoa fiber here. Our cocoa fiber is brought in from India, but we've got some really great sources for cocoa fiber. Everything that we do is certified organic. So that's something that's really important to Roots. Even, pre-acquisition, that was kind of the ethos of this brand. We're not just trying to make a product to sell to consumers. We're making products that we use ourselves in our own gardens. And so, I think quality is of the utmost importance when it comes to the production of these soils. And even after post-acquisition, we haven't changed any formulas. We haven't changed any ingredients. We're still making the same great products. And in fact, we still have a ton of the same employees that were here at the time of acquisition too. So production manager, shipping manager, a ton of guys on the team that are from the days of pre-acquisition. So while we have, moved over to Hydrofarm, we still make a really great product that I think is enjoyed by customers across the United States.
I don't. A lot of people don't know that. That you guys actually make product for a lot of other companies. To not be named and whatnot. But I know that you guys do. Roots Organics is involved in a lot more. In the community than what people know of. You know what I mean? As far as like from their manufacturing side and whatnot. That's pretty accurate, right?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, we sell the perlite that we manufacture to other soil companies. We sell the peat that we harvest and manufacture out of Edmonton, Alberta, to other competitor soil companies in the industry. I think it just kind of goes back to the quality of the inputs that we use, and it makes a lot of sense, both financially and from a quality perspective for these other brands. That Hydrofarm is involved in a lot of things. We own some brands like Roots Organics, but we also distribute a whole bunch of other brands in the industry without doing a whole bunch of name dropping or anything. Yeah. But we do distribute goods across the entire industry that aren't owned by Hydrofarm either. I already mentioned Cutting Edge. That's one of them.
Yeah,
we don't own Cutting Edge or any piece of it.
Cutting Edge has been around for a long time.
In the United States.
Yeah, Cutting Edge has been around for a minute, man. Cutting Edge is they've been around, and that's quality stuff, dude. Cutting Edge is definitely some quality stuff. I've used them. I used them before when I did outdoor grows. Like Gorilla stuff. I used to use that shit a lot.
Yeah, they've got some great mineral-based options, some great organic options. Uncle John is a genius in his product formulations, and he's been doing it since back in the day. Selling fertilizer out of the back of his pickup truck to commercial grows, growing out on the Northern California hillsides, and definitely, he's an old school guy for sure. It was a great opportunity to work for him.
Hell yeah! Can we get into a little bit with some of some specific products like terp teas and stuff like that? Talk about.
Oh yeah.
Me and you always talk about like the extras that are in products and whatnot, and what makes the terp teas stand out over other teas on the market and stuff, and it's the extras and whatnot. Yeah. Can we get into a couple of the different things and get into them, and
most definitely. So
break them down a little bit for some people that are.
Yeah, our terp teas are an awesome kind of combination of a beneficial compost-free compost tea, but also a fertilizer additive. A lot of people think of compost teas as not really a feeding, and truth be told, in a traditional compost tea, that is the case. It's not about feeding the plant so much as feeding microbes and feeding microbes into your soil. Well, with the terp teas, you get to do both. And so we've taken a bunch of the beneficial organisms that you find in a compost tea and made it a lot easier to apply to your plants. So you can mix it in water, and by doing that, you don't actually have to do any kind of sieves or find an old sock or use your lady's pantyhose or something to strain out compost tea. This stuff is super water soluble. So it's made of organic amendments, a ton of different sources that we then use a hammer mill to pulverize these dry organic powders, dry organic nutrients into a powder that's much more water soluble, much more available for uptake from your plants. So if you ever get a bag of terp tea, you'll notice that it kind of feels like liquid inside, or like a talc powder or something. You know how that it kind of feels like a talc powder kind of feels liquidy. It's
Feels
almost
moist.
like a liquid because they're so fine a particulate.
Yeah.
Well, that's what's going on with the terp teas as well. And so we've got a great option for vegetative blooming growth. We've got a bloom booster, the Terp Tea Bloom Boost, and we've got a product called Terp Tea Microbe Charge, which is a huge booster for beneficial microbial populations in your soil. It can help rejuvenate old soils that you may have used in years previous, to give them a jump start on the season and get things really moving along for your plants. So
you got to be careful with that microbial. You definitely, that microbial is some powerful shit. You know, you definitely don't want to overdo it with that stuff. You know what I mean? Like it's some potent shit.
Well, we've got, as far as CFU counts on the bacterial content, you're looking at between millions and billions of CFUs per gram. So even in every tablespoon that you use, you're applying literally billions of microbial organisms to your liquid that you can then feed to your plants. And then it goes along with all of the beneficial nutrients that go in there. So those microbes are going to help break those nutrients down, make them available to your plants. And in a lot of cases, like in the case of our Bloom product, the NPK is a 374. That's higher than what you're going to find in a lot of liquid organic products. So I think this is a great kind of kill two birds with one stone product for gardeners that are looking for a little more ease of use and a little more bang for their buck. They're really affordable as well. Yeah. So I think it's a great option for any gardener.
The booster's got a hell of an NPK on it too. The Bloom booster, that shit's got.
I've got it around here somewhere. What is it? It's
like 18, 11 or something.
6, 18.
Yeah, that's
our
it.
Bloom Boost product. So ton of beneficial microbes.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
So Gary, I got a comment and a question for you on. It's such a great thing to know about your terp teas on as the two factors of feeding your microbes and then having nutrients readily available for your plants. And I say this in regards to, this industry is always growing. We got newer growers, even intermediate growers that aren't so advanced in getting into feeding these specific things and getting your ratios right. So with that said, with your terp tea able to do that, for beginning growers, what would you say is like a soil and amendment combo that really sets off in an easy factor for like just the average beginning home grower?
Sure, certainly. Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head right there. I mean, there's a ton of ingredients in these products, and we simplify it for you. You don't have to, buy 25 different 50-pound bags of different amendments to make your own version of what we've got going on here. We do the blending for you, we do the math for you, and we get the hard work out of the way. So it's an easy application. As far as the ones that I would recommend for first time or early gardener, that would probably be the Terp Tea Grow, the Terp Tea Bloom, and the Terp Tea Bloom Booster. The microbe charge is definitely great for rejuvenating old soil, but if you're just starting out right now, I don't think it's 100% necessary to get a really good round on your first or second cycle to try things out. I think MSRP on those is like for a 3-pound bag is, I think it's less than $20, something like that, for each bag.
Get them from the 3-pound bags range between like, say 18 to like 27, you know what I mean? Like,
okay.
It depends upon which site,
And which one you're looking at. The Tea Bloom Boost has a little bit higher NPK or higher MSRP on it because there are some different ingredients that are a little bit more expensive to add in there to get those high NPK values. But I think that would give customers, first-time users, a great start to their first, outdoor round. Definitely.
I use it a lot with mentoring guys, because I do a lot of mentoring with new growers and, and guys that just want to switch over to a different product and, and I'll walk them through. And I haven't had anybody not have success with it. I mean, it's just if you go the bare minimum as far as what what it calls for, you get great results. And once you start monkeying with it, you can see how hard you can really push it and, and kind of, stack up and just blow shit out. I mean, it's such a friendly product. It's very difficult mess your plants up with it. You know what I mean? Like
That's important.
Truly, it gives you a lot of like, you know, there's a lot of leeway in it before you really start causing major damages. You know what I mean? Like you know, so it's like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like if new growers can have that cushion, you know, this is a product definitely that they can 100% have that cushion, because they push it a little hard, it's just going to get, you're going to have great results. You know what I mean? Like it takes a shit load to really mess up.
Triple, quadruple dose rates, you're going to be just fine. And it's got a bunch of different application methods too. You don't just have to use it as a liquid. You don't have to apply it into water and necessarily let it bubble. You could use it as a top dress. You could use it to amend old soil if you wanted to. There's a lot of different application rates that you could use for this product. And I think one of the other cool benefits of it is, you know, as we see a lot of this industry, everybody's trying to cut their costs and you know, produce more flour for a lesser amount of money on the commercial side of things. Those folks that are all about running salts and you know, making weed that tastes like cardboard, these terp teas are a great option to actually increase your terpene content in those flowers. If you're one of those grows out there that's, you know, stuck on cutting your costs, well, this is a great addition to a salt garden that can help kind of blend the lines between, you know, a cardboard terpene product and something that actually tastes like cannabis.
That was going to be my next question, Gary. Is mending the bridge between the age old battle of soil versus cocoa and salts is you have a product that you can, like, if somebody's running just cocoa and just like 2 easy bottles of salts, and you know they got these great results, but they really want to set it off as far as their terpenes, and you could add that terp tea to a cocoa salt grow correctly, right?
Most definitely. Yeah, you could definitely incorporate it. You might do it on like one of your water days or something like that, so you're not mixing the salts into the same
It's also got
solution
such a high
with
CFU that the salts really won't even impact your microbial so much. You know what I mean? Because the fucking boost is so high, it can't wipe it all out. So you're always going to have that layer above the salt anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, that's what's the great part about it as well. That CFU is just you can't kill it. You know what I mean? With salts. Like especially if you're because everything that each terp tea has a bolster of microbials. There's not one that doesn't. You know what I mean? And it's called elemental. Was the elemental? No, right? The elemental doesn't, right?
Technically, it's not part of the terp tea lineup, but it's similar in its micronized process. Yeah,
I always put it in there.
Elemental is our dry calcium and magnesium product.
Phenomenal.
A great organic product for adding calcium, magnesium, and a little bit of sulfur as well.
Phenomenal product.
Yeah, also micronized, but it's not part of the terp tea lineup since it doesn't contain beneficial organisms. That's the whole shtick with the terp tea.
I think you should add it to the damn terp tea lineup, bro. It fits in perfect. You know what I mean? Like
definitely part of the feeding schedule. Yeah, most definitely. It's a great addition to the terp teas to increase your calcium and magnesium.
If you're using salts, you have so much the veg bolstered, you know, bloom bolstered, bloom boosters bolstered, you know, then the charge. You just, you know, and then on top of whatever else you're using. So, you know, like if you're using, you know, like I have that one product I use from HydroBio. It's got, you know, it's got all different bacilluses in it. It's got, you know, different cane sugar, this sugar, you know, Fulvix, this and that. So I got that going in there too. So, and that's the CFUs are insane. So when I use salts, I don't notice any kind of, you know, real terp loss or anything, man. It's just, you know, there's just so much going on in that soil, you know.
I think it can be a great addition to just about any program out there, with the exception of running it through drip lines. Like as long as you're hand watering, the terp tea lineup will do really well for you as far as increasing your flavor component, the nose, the bouquet of your flowers. It's huge, and it's not only, you know, great for cannabis. You can use this in veggie garden too. You know, if you want to increase the microbial population for your tomato plants, add some more bioflavonoids to your tomatoes. This can actually be a really great addition to just about any program. And because it's so affordable, it's not like you're breaking the bank to grow some tasty tomatoes. So
yeah, hell no.
Little plug for the veggie gardeners out there too.
Yeah, I mean, why not, dude?
Yeah.
I mean, all that stuff, every vegetables, taste, bouquet, everything like that. It's all comes down to terpenes anyway. You know what I mean? Like it's pretty much in everything. It's literally. So if it's going to promote terpene, enhancements in cannabis, it's going to do it in whatever it touches, basically. I'm actually curious about that, dude. It would be interesting to see if somebody grew some tomatoes, and next to the terpene, and then with whatever, your normal tomato fertilizes, and see the difference.
Yeah, some 20-20-20 or something. Yeah, exactly.
I
you're going to end up with
I think
way higher bricks content, way higher bioflavonoid content. I think that you're going to end up with a much more tasty tomato, or any kind of veggie that you're doing.
Sweet tomato. That's
it.
It's going to be sweet as all hell.
So,
But I wanted to get in also to, we're talking about microbials and this and that. I want to get into some of the amendment stuff that you guys do, that you guys have, like organism, bioforce, and then get into, some of the amino stuff and some of the other stuff you guys have, But a lot of people, I recommend organism and bioforce like it's, like it's my business card. You know what I mean? Like, people every time, somebody's talking, I'm like, listen, organism, use it here, blah, blah, blah. I use it as a feed in, like when I'm during my young plants, when I got, little seedlings to, I'm feeding that in. I don't even bother with any kind of, nutrients at first, because the humic, when it's small, I water in. The humics is going to kind of feed it up, you know what I mean, and whatnot. It's got little stages for everything in there, so that initial feeding with the organism is fantastic results. I love
the organism is one of my favorite products. It's got a healthy blend of both beneficial bacteria as well as mycorrhizal fungi. 95% of plants on Earth make associations with mycorrhizal fungi in their root system. It's really helpful for expanding the surface area at which your roots can uptake nutrients. They help to break down, more complex nutrients for your plants, and in return, they get a little bit of sugar that the plant has produced through photosynthesis. So it's a nice symbiotic relationship that 95% of plants on Earth utilize. So this product is great for not only cannabis plants, but gardening in general. It can help liven up your soil ecosystem and give you benefits like, increased nutrient breakdown. There's some kelp and humic acid in that product that can assist in increasing nutrient uptake. So I think it's a great product all around, and especially for youngsters, like you say, like seedlings, clones that have fresh roots. Getting Organism XL on them early on is really important to developing a vast and explosive root system in an organic manner.
Yeah, when I just transplanted a bunch of cuts into 1 gallon air pots, and when I fill them up with Lush, and then I'll take water, just load it up with the organism and some bio, and I water it in real good, and then I put the clone in, dust the clone with it, with some organism also, and then top it off and water in on the top. And the response is just insane. The plants, they go bananas. It's
you're not going to end up with transplant shock.
Develop that root system, dude.
Get your plants praying. It's a great start to any seedlings or any clones that you might be taking, whether it's cannabis or not.
It's got a lot of humic in it too, man. That's what I like about it. It's got that. What is it, like 10% humic or whatever?
Yeah, it's 10% humic. Yeah, and then the Bioforce, that's kind of the other player for our microorganism powdered additions. The Bioforce is particularly helpful for increasing the solubilization of phosphorus. So phosphorus is one nutrient, especially in an organic format, that takes a while for breakdown to occur. And so there's a Bacillus megaterium that's in there, and a few other bacillus strains that are in that product that drastically increase phosphorus solubilization. So that is making phosphorus dissolve in liquid. Otherwise, phosphorus can stay kind of locked up in a non-available format for the plants. Plants are going to need that in a soluble format, and that's where the huge numbers of bacillus in that product really help contribute to large flowers and healthy, productive root systems. So you're not finding the Bacillus megaterium in the organism XL in nearly as high a quantity. It is there, but the CFU count on the Bioforce is like 10 to 20 times, depending on the strain, more concentrated than the organism XL. So definitely a really great addition to any program, especially once you've got like really mature, vegetative growth. You're thinking about flipping. It's a great time to switch like from the organism over to the Bioforce to really help increase the nutrient uptake and nutrient breakdown in your soil.
Now, also with the Bioforce, can we talk about the left-hand aminos, what they are, what their role plays in that in there?
Sure. Yeah. So all life is left-handed chirality here. So the amino acids, making sure that that these amino acids are in the L chirality is really important for nutrient uptake. Plants can't use anything that's in the right-handed chirality. And so having specific sources of left-handed aminos is really helpful for plants. And that's one of the benefits of the organism or the Bioforce.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It every time I run out of it, I'm always like, fuck, because it's always at like the time where I'm like, where I need to make that switch over. I always throw a little bit in the beginning. I always dust a little bit in, just to get it in there, because a lot of times I forget. I try to make labs, and I like to have that on hand too, because sometimes you forget to make your labs. You know what I mean? And it's a good way to get a nice a nice amount of what do you call it, in product into it. It doesn't take a lot of it, and it's soluble as well too.
Not at all. Yeah, I mean the Bacillus subtilis count alone is 3 billion CFUs per gram in that product. So I mean, even teaspoons, you're putting in hundreds of millions of beneficial organisms into your product. So definitely a great addition. It's also got a bunch of food for the microbes themselves. So there's some sucrose, some soy protein hydrolysate, knotweed powder, and some glucose derived from sugarcane. So definitely a really good one for feeding your microbes, not only feeding your plants. A lot of people think that feeding your plants is the only thing that you want to do to get big plants, but actually making sure that your microbes are fed properly too can drastically help increase nutrient uptake and your root system in general.
And the other good thing about using products like this too is like people don't like with the sugars and whatnot that you guys are putting into them, they're a lot more available than dumping molasses into your soil and whatnot. Molasses takes a while for it to become available in ways and whatnot. So by the time you dump all this fucking molasses into your stuff, it's literally like you're getting to halfway through bloom before it's really becoming doing anything. You know what I mean? That's the shit that was put in there in veg. So it's good kind of stuff because it's got those sugars available when they're needed more readily. People should get away from molasses more and more, I think, and go into where stuff is available in products like this, because
it's long chain sugars versus short chain sugars. So glucose and sucrose, a lot more of short chain sugar. They're easier for these microbes to metabolize versus a long chain sugar. Like you say, it takes more time. It's not quite as bioavailable. So
and you're also not having monkeying with your pH when you're doing it. Molasses, your pH is just,
it drops it.
It's just so it's like, with this kind of stuff, you're not having to worry about pH shifts and whatnot because of it. That's molasses will always cause that, cause crashes and stuff. So it's another thing that helps, and makes it friendlier for new growers. You know what I mean? That's another point, that we should make to it. stuff like that, helps new growers, because
Yeah.
A lot of guys go and start using molasses and they're like, what the hell's going on? My stuff keeps, and it's like, well, you start asking them questions and you find out, they're slapping molasses in constantly and they're not taking into account, pH shifts and shit from it, So that's another reason I like using, the organism, the bioforce, and whatnot. I think we should talk a little bit about some of the I guess amendment stuff, which I use. One of my products I like is the amino aid. We get into like some of that stuff, the big swell. Some of the stuff that people might not be as familiar with.
Certainly, yeah. So the amino aid and the big swell are the boosters on our Soul lineup. So Soul is part of Aurora Innovations brand catalog. So under Aurora Innovations, there's Roots Organics, and then there's Soul. Soul is a blend of organic and mineral-based or synthetic nutrients. So it's kind of a blend of both worlds. Folks that are looking for a bit of an increase in bioavailability, but the amino aid and the big swell in particular are super helpful for increasing phosphorus uptake. There's some proprietary secret ingredients that are shared between the two products that it took me a long time to finally find out what those are, and I can't divulge them here by any means, but it's these products contain a lot of amino acids that help to influence your plant's ability to take up certain nutrients. So they would be considered the boosters of either the Soul lineup, or if you wanted to combine them with Roots Organics, which it's part of our master program. If you guys have ever checked out the feeding schedules that we've got online, we are doing a website update here pretty soon. The website kind of needs an update, but the feeding schedule is there. The master program, it's basically the entire Roots Organics liquid lineup, along with the amino aid and the big swell. Using them at between like 5 and 10 milliliters per gallon, they go a long way, and they drastically increase phosphorus uptake to drastically increase the pace at which your plants can grow in the vegetative state with the amino aid, as well as swell your flower size. That's the idea behind the name of the big swell. So there's some great nutrient availability in there as well. I believe the amino aid is like a 501 and the big swell is a 253. It's not so much the nutrients that are the biggest components to those products. It's some of the kind of secret sauce that's in the amino aid and the big swell.
The big swell smells like it smells like coolant, like fucking like engine coolant. It smells exactly like whatever the hell
it smells very sweet. Very sweet.
It reminds me of coolant every time, man. I'm like antifreeze. It smells exactly like fucking antifreeze.
That old
I will say that right here, but there are some secret ingredients in those products that allow them to do what they do, and that is to increase the vigor and the pace at which your plants will grow in a vegetative state as well as in a blooming state. So full of amino acids, full of the building blocks of great flowers, essentially.
Well, you saw that growth I started getting when I started mixing the Soul, the swell, the amino, and the pounds. The shit just went bananas,
Yeah. Did you finish that cycle yet? It was.
Yeah, actually, I finished it up. I got pictures. I wound up making a mistake at like week 6. I don't know what the hell I did. Well, I know what I did, but somehow I just totally blanked that I had fed them already, and I fed them like 36 hours later a second time with a massive hit of pounds, and caused some damage. But it finished up, bro. The fucking terps, the oil on them was just insane. But I took a hit on the yield because of it. You know what I mean? But they came out. I'm pissed because of that, but it still came out insane. Oh man, the terps on it is just like every time, you know what I mean? But adding that big swell in, it definitely, you can definitely see, when I started putting it in that veg, how it cranked up and just everything on top of each other, like man, it was.
Was this your first time trying the Big Swell out too? Was that the
yeah?
first
I hadn't tried the Big Swell, dude.
Yeah. It's a noticeable difference, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
If you do plants side by side with the Big Swell, it's something that you can see, like even within a week's time, maybe less, start to see the difference. And on the vegetative side, the amino aid does the same thing for vegetative plants. It will drastically increase the pace at which those plants grow. So if you're trying to get a quick turnaround on a veg cycle, you don't want to wait around for 4 or 6 weeks for getting these plants like nice and large and in charge. The amino aid can be a great addition to cut your veg time nearly in half.
Yeah, amino aid pumps them up, and between that, I use a lot of the H&G aminos, and I like the amino aid. I think outpaces it as far as like noticeable like you see an acceleration in the plant with the amino aid versus the other one. The other one kind of is there bolstering it as you go along, and it's just it's steadily. But when you start cranking up with the amino aid, you're just it really is a noticeable difference compared to it. It's
The one thing I would say is amino aid, you got to be way lighter on the dose rate in a hydroponic setting. So if you're doing hydro, you want to lower the dose rate because it will cause some pH swings that can be kind of drastic, and so you just got to keep an eye on it.
I'm actually going to be running DWC. I'm going to do. I'm going to run a couple of buckets this round, so I'll actually touch base with you and ask you about that because I'm glad you said something.
Don't go full dose rate, tablespoon per gallon or something on it. It's definitely one where you want to be on the lower side of the dose rate to kind of mitigate some of the pH swings that could happen. So,
all right, that's good to know.
It's been a while since we used to do test gardens at Aqua Serene back in the day where we'd try out all the brands of nutrients against Sol or Roots Organics products, and so I got a good bit of knowledge from handling that back in the day. It's definitely one of the cooler experiences in the gardening industry I've had. Is just being able to play around, run General Hydroponics and Botanicare and Roots and Sol and House and Garden and Canna and like all these other brands and kind of see what the difference is. So it's super fun.
Can we talk about? I know there's a couple other products that I don't know if they're part of that line, like the Extreme Serene, that stuff. I can't remember. I know there was like another one or two that were along those lines. Also, there was one that was a tridipene saponins. Is that one? Or is that the Extreme Serene?
No, so there are some Kalea and saponins that are found inside of the Extreme Serene, but one of our other products that we had come out with is the Rain. That's our wetting agent. Yeah. So, Rain is one of the newer products on the Roots Organics liquid lineup. It's a great wetting agent for just about any kind of soil media. I think I've got a bottle of it right here. Let's see. Yeah, so we're looking at yucca, we're looking at Kalea, and aloe vera. So there's literally no water added to this product. Label's gonna get all green screened on you. There you go. Yeah. The Roots Organics Rain. So a great addition, especially if you've got soil that, sometimes in the summer, soil dries out and it goes a bit hydrophobic. It's hard to get it wet. Those times where you let something go too dry and you've got to water it like 5 or 6 tries to really get it to penetrate the soil. Well, something like the Roots Organics Rain can help mitigate that issue. It can help to penetrate your soil in a much quicker way to hydrate those plants, and it'll help keep those plants hydrated, help that soil to hold moisture in the future. So definitely a great addition to any soil-based program. And it's a great wetting agent for foliar sprays as well. So if you're doing any kind of kelp or even insecticide applications that require wetting agents, this is a great organic wetting agent to add to the program.
I use it with the kelp foliars. It's definitely it's a good one. And if people don't know what wetting agents do and whatnot, you want to just tell them, what the importance of them are and whatnot?
Sure, yeah. So wetting
like
agents help to spread, especially in a foliar application, they help to spread that liquid across the surface of your leaves, both the top and bottom surface. So if you were to spray something that doesn't have a wetting agent in there, you'll end up with little droplets on the surface of your plant. That's not very effective for delivering nutrition, and it's not very effective for delivering an insecticide to small tiny mites or other types of insects that may be affecting your plants, thrips or russet mites or what have you. So the wetting agents assist in spreading and making a fine layer, spreading that insecticide or that foliar spray that you've sprayed across the entire surface of the leaf, rather than ending up with little droplets everywhere where there's a whole bunch of surface that's not in contact with those nutrients or with those insecticides. So definitely a great option, along with the whole, increasing the ability for a soil medium to retain water.
Yeah, so. If you're not using a wetting agent, with foliars, it's almost like, you might as well not even be bothering, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like it makes no sense, because on top of it, it's allowing the leaf to accept it, the nutrient and whatnot. So if you're not using that with foliars, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're basically just wetting the plant. It's going to get some of it, but it's like throwing shit at the wall. Whatever sticks to it, you're all good, but a lot of it's going to fall on the floor,
Exactly. Hey, that's a great way to put it. And especially for the water in applications, cocoa fiber can get very hydrophobic over the course of time. If you let it dry out, it's not as able to rebound like peat moss does. Peat moss is able to hold a bit more water than cocoa fiber, and so blends that contain both can be really beneficial. But if you're in a cocoa-based media, a wetting agent can be really helpful for making sure you don't run into situations where your soil runs hydrophobic and not absorbing the liquid that you're putting into it. You get a lot more runoff that way, and effectively a lot more waste from the fertilizers that you are putting in.
Yeah, to me it's a no-brainer. You know what I mean? Like if people weren't familiar with it, hopefully now they'll take the advice, because it's really like, it doesn't make sense to not use a product like that if you're gonna. It's literally wasting other product. You're probably saving 80% of the product that that you normally would waste, because when you're spraying it on it, you'll see even coats, when you're spraying the shit and it's big droplets and stuff, it's running off the leaves, and this and that, and you go back and you look, you're halfway done with the other side of the plant, you go back and you look and you're like, it doesn't look
looks like you didn't get it.
Yeah, it's, you know what I mean? So it's like, that's important stuff to take advice on is and pay attention. If it's not a Roots Organics product, that you're going to use, if you, no one has to say you have to use it, but it's definitely advice that you should definitely take, is getting into wetting agents.
Definitely a great cross brand. This is a product that you can use across brands. This is not something that has to be used with Roots Organics products at all. You can use it with any lineup. It can be run through dripper lines and that kind of thing too. There's no sedimentary issues with the Roots Organics rain. A great addition to any nutrient program.
I think we should get into some soil and whatnot.
We haven't even touched on the soil yet.
Yeah, we haven't even touched on soil yet. Jay, what soil you use?
It's kind of like, I wanted to tie this kind of into a question that I had for Gary.
Yeah, shoot in.
So I'm purely cocoa, especially in this area where outdoor is basically, licensed or not, it is banned in this county. So so my question for you, Gary, is your product for a lot of breeders and in commercial growers, they make the shift to cocoa only to the regards of the amount of plants that they're growing, and So for me, when you're holding on to, 50 different breeder cuts, and then you have another 50 of something that you're hunting, and then another 50 that you're vegging, and then another 50 that you're flowering, you have stuff on the back burner in small pots. And everybody knows in cocoa, it's a little easier to have something on the back burner for a while that you can come
get away with it.
and feed with readily available newts, and to keep it, keep it alive, keep it vibrant for when you're ready for it. Now that kind of piqued my interest with your terp teas, and how you started talking about all the liquid lines of readily available stuff. Now, so is Roots Organic something that people are overlooking as far as like the breeder and the commercial aspect, as far as large scale and being able to do that, keeping big plants in solo cups or 1 gallon pots? What besides just the terp tea? What you have products that someone can easily do that and run an operation to where the things that I have just mentioned, right?
Yeah, certainly. I think Roots Organics is hits kind of the sweet spot for the fact that it is applicable and very effective for anybody from the hobbyist side of things all the way up to the commercial grow side of things. So we definitely have products that you can use to help sustain, long-term moms in a 1 gallon cocoa pot. We actually make a straight cocoa product called Cocoa Palms that is a certified organic source of cocoa fiber. So if you're looking for, something that you could use as an alternative media to soil, the Cocoa Palms is a great option for that. We also make a soilless mix that is approximately 80% perlite and about 20% cocoa. That one's been around for a really long time, so that helps with drainage, aeration. It's definitely one that you have to add liquid, in some manner, whether it's fertilizer or what, multiple times per day in heavy growing environments. But we've got options for just about any kind of media application that you're already using. So, for sustaining moms, our Buddha Grow is a great option. It's not super high NPK numbers, but it's got lots of bioavailability. There's lots of worm castings, back guano, that kind of thing. Again, the Roots Organics liquids are not exactly for drip irrigation, though. I'd like to caution users that are running drip irrigation. Organics require, stuff with sediment. And there is some sediment that you find in the Roots Organics products. So it's definitely more for hand water situations than it would be for something on a drip irrigation. It's definitely applicable for ebb and flow. If anybody's running ebb and flow systems out there, whether it's, cocoa or soil or soilless, it can work really well in an ebb and flow environment. But in drip irrigation, you want to be really careful. There's inevitably in guano, you're going to find sand. In the environments that they harvest guano from, there's sand present, and you're going to find sand in those products. And so it's not something that you would want to run through a drip line. But our liquid lineup can be a great addition to commercial farmers that are looking to increase, terpene content, increase bioflavonoid content. And it's something that's kind of, one of the best kept secret to some extent for a lot of these commercial guys. I think it is kind of slept on for sure.
Yeah, I think you kind of bridge the gap between, being able to do these certain things with this, and then being able to retain characteristics with this, as far as between cocoa and soil. From what I'm hearing, because I haven't, when we used to be able to do outdoor, I used a lot of your powder amendments. So we have a lot of sandy loam out here.
Yeah.
So when it came to outdoor, sandy loam is great for root advancement, and I would just amend it, and it was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
and then
Yeah, you're probably talking about like the Uprising series, right?
yes, and then just all your just others. If I'm correct, I used to buy like the bone meal and powder and stuff. Like this was probably 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But as moving on to indoor and having 200 plus plants, it was the move to cocoa. But so someone could use like an organic soil and still be able to get the same results and retain an operation where they're holding on to a lot of stuff with your products.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah. I think our products are applicable for gardeners from the hobbyist level all the way up to the commercial breeder, commercial flower producer, commercial cultivators in general. And if anybody needs any custom fertilizer regimens, I'm happy to help. Everybody's got a specific situation. We have generalized feeding schedules and feeding charts on our website. But if you've got, extenuating circumstances or specific situations like mom rooms or something like that anybody needs help on, feel free to reach out to Roots Organics. I'm happy to help anyone in their efforts to keep an organic cultivation running. So,
and a thing that you touched on, what I think is it's probably a question that you get a lot is mixing with other brands, because like there's times where I'll see something and I got the stuff that I use. I'm not going to say what, because we're here for Roots.
Sure.
But I'll look at something and I'll be like, well, shit. Can I even add that into my regiment, or what's that going to change? It seems like your products just kind of fit right into the flow of at least most things.
Anything, bro. Yeah. I've used it with fucking Utopic. I've used it with Athena. I've used it with Heavy 16. I've used it with C&G Organics. I've used it with fucking VVX Shine. The list just goes on and on and on. Everything just bolstered with terp teas.
It plays nicely with other brands.
Don't matter if it's salt or organic based. You know what I mean? Like it really.
Yeah, we've got boosters that like our HPK or our HP2 are great liquid bloom boosters, liquid back 1.0 bloom boosters that can be added to just about any program to increase your phosphorus, potassium, right? Calcium levels, your sulfur content. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, Roots Organics is great. It's an all-in-one kind of lineup that can be used all together, but it also plays nicely with a lot of other brands out there. There's nothing super proprietary going on with the exception of the Amino Aid and the Big Swell, and even those play very nicely with other brands too. So if you're looking for, if you're running some other lineup and you're looking for a vegetative booster, the Amino Aid is a great addition.
Well, I'm definitely gonna need a 50-gallon drum of terp tea. After this show.
I'm sure we can hook you up.
Yeah, dude. Let me tell you, man. If you start running the terp teas, Jay, you'll 100% you'll like them, bro. You'll see the difference in your fucking flower. You'll see the difference in like the when people, even the finished product, even from seed, you'll see. Using like Opie used to use a lot of the terp teas and stuff like that with his seeds and stuff, and you start noticing, when in the progenies, like the different, like that it makes from breeders using it, like, you know what I mean? Like it just makes the plants just fucking go bananas from it, bro. They kick out so many different terps and different, light.
I'm gonna give it a go. I have to try this now.
Well, hit me up after this, and we'll get your information and get you a little sample pack sent out.
Hell yeah,
we'd love to help.
I got one. You sell. Correct me if I'm wrong. You said you mentioned, because I'm always looking for a different brand. I use Dutchman cocoa, which is fantastic. It's a sanctuary soil. You provide a cocoa product for media?
Well, you have a 70-30 and an 80-20, right?
Yeah, so we've got a 70-30, we've got an 80-20, and we've got a pure cocoa product. So if
you could tell me where to find the pure cocoa, I would love to try that out. Because I like to mix my own. I like to mix my own perlite. I do a real light perlite. I do like a 20% perlite. That's what I like. But I love finding out a new cocoa.
Yeah, most definitely. yeah, we can line you up. We can talk after this, and I can tell you which stores.
Oh
But
yeah,
basically, any
absolutely.
store that has a Hydrofarm account can get it. Hydrofarm is the premier distributor for Roots Organics products, and anybody that does have a Hydrofarm account, even if they don't have cocoa palms in stock, they should be able to special order it for you really easily. So.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, and it's
That's
one of the
awesome.
only organic certified cocos out there on the market in a pure flocked cocoa format. So definitely a great addition to anybody's program that's trying to run cocoa. On the terp tea subject, I'd also like to mention that I think it can be particularly helpful for breeders and cultivators because it brings out more of the full genetic potential because of all of the varied sources that you're getting in
That's a good
that
point.
product. It's going to help bring out those terpenes that you're not going to find from a salt-based nutrient. More complex nutrition ends up with more complex flavor and bioflavonoid notes, more of a bouquet than something that's fed with just a small assemblage of calcium nitrates and monopotassium phosphates.
And that's a good point because if a breeder is pheno hunting their stock, and they're really missing out on the potential of their terps, you could be making some wrong selections when something over here where you thought wasn't as good as far as something that's checking all the boxes, you could be really missing something. I think that's a good point that you made.
I think especially using stuff like elemental because it has that fucking sulfur kicker in it and whatnot. That one is one that I think that if you're a breeder, you should definitely be using because, one, it's got, the calcium, the magnesium and whatnot, but that sulfur, the different gas notes that you start pulling out when you add elemental in, I'm telling you, you'll notice, Jay, by adding the elemental as your CalMag and as your calcium source, and instead of whatever you're using, you'll start noticing the fucking the gassy, funky terpenes really get enhanced by that CalMag, dude. It really.
I love that. I love that gas burnt rubber.
That elemental is the trick, man. That stuff's got some chutzpah,
Yeah.
Elemental is great. People don't realize, that and then you got a ton of calcium, so all the good stuff calcium does, uptake, this, that, and other thing, But
calcium and magnesium are really helpful for keeping your plants green, healthy, keeping those stomata opening, breathing in CO2. But then there's also some fish protein in there that helps
the hydrolate, right?
some of the sulfur. And the sulfur compounds are especially helpful for terpene production. So it's got some precursors that help to increase your terpene output. Definitely a great addition to any program. Most folks need a CalMag. And, if you're not running our Roots Organics liquid CalMag, the Elemental is a great option.
Elemental's phenomenal. Phenomenal. It's I've a lot of people who have, issues with CalMag deficiencies, that's one thing that they, for whatever reason, whatever systems they're using, cause it to them or whatever's going on. Every person that I've had issues with it, I've gotten into the Elemental. And I'm like, it just literally explains to them, use this much, like here, there, and the other way, and you'll never have a fucking problem with CalMag deficiencies. Like, it's one of those products. It's like, if you don't want to ever have a hassle with, if you don't ever want to hassle with fucking calcium deficiencies and magnesium deficiencies and whatnot, use Elemental. It's that easy. It's the stuff. It's good, dude. It's like,
I actually helped with the naming of this product back in the day.
Did you really?
I remember Austin coming through and one of the former owners of Roots Organics coming through the store and asking a few of us for recommendations on the names. I think he gave us like 3 names to choose from, and all of us went straight for Elemental.
Yeah, it's definitely it's one of the better products. As far as that. It fits in anyway. It doesn't matter what you use it. It literally, if you just need a CalMag, fit it in anywhere. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those. But
well, and you can use it for rejuvenating soil again. Like a lot of folks, especially in outdoor country, they're trying to amend their soil. They're not necessarily trying to liquid feed a bunch over the course of of a whole season. And so elemental can be one that you can actually add to your soil to help, get that calcium, magnesium, and sulfur component down into the roots for feeding your plant throughout the season. So definitely a good addition for soil blending.
Let's circle back to soil too, because we kind of got away from it real quick. I wanted to talk about the lush green fields and whatnot. People, I think there's misconceptions on, a lot of people call them living soils and this and that, and it's basically, living soils, that term that's, used on everything.
It's kind of thrown around a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. You can, of course, they're living soils, but what the differences between them and whatnot, what each one is, because a lot of people ask me all the time, like what would you,
which one do you go with? We make a lot of soils.
Yeah.
I get it. And we do make a lot of soils for varying applications, and everybody's got kind of a different way they like to do things. Some folks like a soil that holds more water. Some folks want a soil or soil-less product that holds very little water, something that they can feed very frequently. And some people want to do a lot of work and feed a lot. Some people want something that's really freaking easy and something you can plant in the bag and just give it water for upwards of 2 months. And we've got options for everything in between. So I would start with our 707. I'll start on kind of the lighter end, and then we'll work our way up as far as nutrient component goes. So that's going to be the big difference between a lot of these soils is how much food does it have in there for your plants? How long can you go after transplant before you need to start feeding your plants? So 707 is on the lighter end for the soils that we make. And I'm kind of skipping over our 70-30 and our soilless product because those are really nutrient deplete. Those are soils that are meant for folks that want to start feeding immediately. Something that's like a really heavily aggressive feeding plant. Our soilless product or our 70-30 cocoa perlite product, those are for more heavily aggressive feeders, somebody that wants to start feeding from the get-go. But as far as the line in the sand where soil starts, that's our 707. It's got enough fertilizer in it for 2 to 3 weeks after transplant. It's a really great mix, especially for outdoor gardeners. It's got a little bit higher amount of peat and cocoa fiber, so it tends to hold a bit more water for those hot outdoor days. It was developed specifically for the 707 area code. It's got a really great camo bag, great for hiding up in the hills or something. Right. One cool thing about our bags too is they were designed to be plant-in bags, so you can literally cut the top off of them and plant right in the bag. It's got drainage holes in it. It's ready to go. You can actually top it off with an additional half bag of soil. So for a standard size bag, it's about 10 gallons of soil. You can top it off to where it's about a 15-gallon grow bag. For 707, we make it in a 3 cubic foot bag as well. So that's about 20 gallons of soil. You can top that off with another half bag of 707 to make it a 30-gallon grow bag. So a great option for outdoor gardeners as well as indoor. I've run a lot of indoor with 707 in my past that you just want to start feeding sooner. Then the next step would be our Roots Original. Roots Original is got enough. It's like the original soil that Roots Organics made. It's chock full of nutrition. We recommend typically about 3 to 4 weeks post-transplant before you start feeding. It's got a lot of food in it, and it can really help get you over through a vegetative period without having to feed. Some folks will just focus on the blooming cycle. They only buy bloom nutrients because the Roots Organics Original has enough food in it for their entire vegetative cycle. Then the next step up from that would be the green fields. That one's got enough food in it for about 4 weeks. I'd say it's a bit more than the Roots Original. It's more of an ocean-based mix. There's a lot of crab, a lot of really beneficial nutrients in that soil that help to extend the feeding period.
It's a heavy soil.
And all of them are chock full of beneficial microbes as well. And then the next step up from the green fields is going to be the lush. The lush is our soil that's we say that it's got enough food in it for at least 6 weeks, upwards of 8 weeks. It's our super soil. this is full of beneficial microbes. It's actually compost free. We don't put compost in the lush itself because of how much organic nutrition is already going on in there. We don't want to, start some kind of composting battle that somebody's running into hot soil situation. We actually let the lush sit for over a month after we make it, so it can sit and cook and not cook your plants. And
I go right into it with
tried and true at this point. We've got a really great recipe. I think we might have lost your mic again, Big Red. We can't hear you now.
I lost the mic?
No, you're good on my end.
Now. Oh, I can't hear either of you.
Hey, I got you, Big Red. I think it's Gary.
Let me check my audio, see what's going on. Oh. Hold on. I got it. That for some reason it switched over to
your headphones.
Headphones. Can I hear you now?
Yeah.
You got it?
No, I can't hear you now. I might have to switch over to the headphones real quick. Just a second. Let me try this again.
Yeah, you sounded fine on the headphones earlier.
That's weird, man.
It's technology, bro.
Are you guys there?
Testing.
Can you hear us?
I still can't hear you.
Check.
I'm not sure what's going on here.
Check your mute.
The test works in the
That's weird.
I can hear it on the
Yeah, so we can hear you.
How about that? No, I still can't hear you guys.
That's strange, man. What the hell's going on?
I'm not sure what's going on. Is there a
I don't know sign language
and rejoin? This is really strange. We didn't press anything.
Yeah, that was kind of out of nowhere.
Off will help. It sounds like you guys can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Hold on. Can you hear? Jay, can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear you, Big Red. I can't hear him, though. No, I didn't know he was talking.
Unmute. How's that?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You can hear me?
Can you hear us, Gary?
Yeah.
I can't hear you still.
Huh.
Crud. I'm sorry, guys.
No, don't be sorry. Stuff happens.
Mic volume is maxed.
Want to try to drop out and just come right back to that, what do you call it, Gary? To that link?
I don't know what's happened here. Can I exit and rejoin?
Yeah.
Would that do it? All right, I'll try that. Just a second.
All right, stand by, guys. We'll figure this out here.
Give me 1 second, guys. Oh, fuck. Hold on. Let me see. Hold on. There he is. All right. Can you hear us, Gary?
What the heck happened? That was really strange.
Can you hear us?
Anything or? Yeah. I noticed at one point I couldn't hear you. Yeah, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
All right. Perfect. We're good to roll.
All right, cool.
All right. Yeah, sorry about that.
Easy enough.
Yeah. All right. So we got. I think we stopped on the lush there. So
yes,
I was talking about the Roots Organics Lush. It is our newest soil that we have brought to the world. It is our super soil, our living soil. It's full of beneficial microbes. It's full of literally chock full of nutrition. You should see this plant when we run the lush. It gets a little dusty out there because of the fertilizer package that goes in.
When I know the lush, this is how I know when the plants, when the lush is doing its thing and it's fucking really cranking, the leaves get this blue color to them, bro. The leaves get this blue, that historic fucking super mega kind of stuff. You know what I mean? It gets this bluish tinge to that green, and you know that the shit is cranking. That's how you know that the lush is really operating good for you, bro. Because everybody who uses it, whenever they start using it, when I get people to fuck with it, and I'm like, when you see the plant start looking like it's blue, you'll know the lush is, everything's going good. You know what I mean? and it's
That's
really
great.
good. It's really going, and it's as true as hell, man. The fucking plant looks like it's got that prehistoric look to it, that color, man. It's just, it's insane, you know. But
I realized I skipped over the green light. The green light is going to be similar nutrition levels to our Roots Organics original, but with an added drainage component. So it has more in the way of perlite, the same kind of fertilizer package that you find in Roots Organics, but with added drainage. So it's something where you would, maybe water the Roots Original every 3 days or something like that. In green light, you're going to water your plants every 1 to 2 days. It's just going to allow for more feeding over the course of time. That was kind of the goal behind the green light. And again, all of our products are CDFA certified organic. So, any product on the Roots Organics lineup, you can be rest assured that you are using, a really great quality product that comes with organic nutrition.
Well, I mean, it's in the name, right?
Yeah. Well, back in the day, that kind of thing, a lot of folks had organic in their name, and they don't make organic products. And I think over the course of time,
it's not 100%.
Yeah, I'm not calling any names out here, but it's definitely been something that's been used and abused by some folks in the industry. And
I made this mistake back in the day. Here in California, the number one bag that you would always see around in the hydro shops or wherever is your 707 camouflage bag. I'm sure there was a lot of confusion that Roots Organic was a NorCal or a Humboldt-based company, because initially I was like, oh, that's cool, fucking Humboldt company, but that's not the case.
No, we're manufactured in Eugene. The original owners had a lot of friends in the Humboldt County, and so they actually helped to develop soils like the 707 and the greenfields. In particular, were developed in Northern California for outdoor farmers there. So those products, while we're not, while we're not from Northern California, we got a lot of roots out there.
Yeah. For sure. I imagine.
In more ways than one.
I've taken many trips up the mountain. Let's just say that.
I think if you didn't have camo bags in some wooded area, fucking at some point, you know what I mean? When we were all younger, it definitely.
You wait from the times.
Yeah, I think everybody used them, dude. You know what I mean? Like I swear to shit, most guys, because not for nothing, you can just grab and start running with your fucking with the plant. You know what I mean? Especially if you weren't doing a big thing, you could just grab the whole goddamn thing and run off with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That was the best thing about it is with a big pail. What are you gonna do with a big ass fucking pail? You drag the thing with you. At least you get two guys. You can start running with your plants.
Well, back in the day here, before where cannabis industries really started integrating, especially towards like the legal market. We all know like guerrilla grows were huge, or even small scale guerrilla growers, like where you were saying you can just plant straight into the bag. Like that was huge back in the day to have a soil that you could just. You don't have to check on for, a period of time. You're not going out there every single day. But so I think that kind of contributed to the huge amount of
good about it, like we were saying, is the bag was, double the size. So you can either just fucking start it, or you could just take 2 bags and put them into one, and you got a big ass, you know what I mean? You had a big thing because you can double down on every one of the bags, That was the best thing about them is. So once you got out there, you didn't need to have to, when I was doing it, because, I wasn't doing a giant farm of it, but 10 bags, we double up on it. You'd have a 40-gallon, a 40-gallon bag of fucking soil would sit in front of you, with those, So that was nice to grow big plants in, and especially, they blended in. You really couldn't see them that good if you put them. If you had your shit set up good, you couldn't notice those things, man. Those bags were good. They were really camoed up, man. Those bags.
Oh yeah, well, and they still are. Not that guerrilla growing is as important as it was to the industry, way back when. I think that was kind of the idea behind making camo bags. Yeah. Something that's not real loud as far as color goes. There's a lot of brands of soil that are really loud as far as eye catching. And I think that was the opposite of what they were trying to do with Roots Organics. They were trying to make something that was not eye catching, something that was camouflage, something that you could hide. And so it's got a great legacy and something that we still, produce to this day.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to agree to that.
Yeah, I don't think I know anybody. I think no shit. Like anybody that I've known that's run outdoor stuff, like hidden shit. I don't think I've ever met somebody who didn't have those at some point. You know what I mean? Like those bags. It's just literally, it's like one of those icon things, in the industry. It's like, everybody's seen those bags in the woods somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At some point, if you were growing, since the minute, so. And I know guys that still are doing that kind of those grows. You know what I mean? Not every state.
Yeah, more power to them.
Yeah.
Well, this goes back into the day. We used to make runs up to the Humboldt area where you got generations of families that have been growing, and I just remember meeting these guys and having Roots Organic bags just strewn about in their place, and all the HPS lights on light movers, those days. Yeah. And then coming back down the hill with at the time there was this stuff called the PK number 5. That's specifically where the story comes from, Purple Kush number 5, and they just had those bags, the Roots Organic. That's the first time that I've ever seen it, and I was like, oh damn, like this is I see this shit everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, I know we're getting a little bit late on the stream, but I wanted to quiz you guys at least at the very beginning. I was talking about.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, we got time. Want to do some trivia to give away some shit?
Sure. Yeah, most definitely.
All right, so this is how we're gonna do it. We'll let me and Jay aren't in on, of course. We won't answer, but the audience people will answer. So, the first person who answers correctly that we see or Gary sees on the feed will win. What do you want to start off with?
I'm not sure that I'm able to see the chat, but
I can see the chat. I can't respond because I don't remember what email my YouTube is tied into. So okay. I think if we're gonna go trivia from Big Red, we'll have what pops up on your end, Dave.
Oh, there we go. I can see it now.
And then if trivia from Gary, whatever pops up on your chat, you go by that.
Yeah. So
awesome. Looks like we've had some really good chat here. Thanks, guys. I hadn't seen it up until this point. So I'll go with mine first, and I think this might stump y'all. We'll see. But I wanted to see if anybody knows how or what the very first product Aurora Innovations made. The very first product line that began the brand. And this might stump y'all. I wonder. Unless there's some old heads out there that were in Eugene and in like the early on scene.
So does
anybody got an idea?
Is the fish shop a hint?
The fish shop kind of is a hint, actually. Yeah.
All right.
Anybody? I'm not seeing anything in the chat as of yet. Guano, that's a great
Big Worm
idea, but nope, not quite.
Big Worm.
Green something is actually one of the closer options that I see in the chat. Let's see. Okay, well, you actually almost Everybody stumped at this point? So I kind of anticipated this, and that's okay. It's probably one that nobody is going to get. Aurora Innovations, it kind of goes with the name. The original products that the folks at Roots Organics made before they started making soils or making nutrients, it was actually lighting. So green shit. Nice, Paula. So these ballasts were green. They had an Aurora Innovations logo on them. That was the idea behind the name. They actually started out in the fish side of the store doing lighting for, they were selling lights that were kind of, you could get away with. It was kind of ambiguous because you could sell high pressure sodium or metal halide at that time ballasts for coral reef tanks. It was really great for corals having high Kelvin rating bulbs, really super blue stuff. So they were getting universal ballast sent over, magnetic ballast back in the day, and they had these custom green frames that they went into. And as I remember, I've fixed a million of these ballasts back in the day running Aqua Serene, but that was actually the very first product that Aurora Innovations ever made. It was ballast. I think 600 watts and 400 watts were like their start, and then they eventually got into 1,000-watt ballasts. Then
so what were the name of those lights?
Aurora Innovations.
Okay,
that was the name. You get the idea of the name Aurora Innovations. That's where it all came from.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah, nowadays, we don't really have much to do with lights at all. But in the very early days, that's what they were making. That's what the company started as. So yeah, kind of an interesting little tidbit from the industry from early on in Aurora Innovations history. Then they moved on in, I think it was 2004, 2005 to making soilless, and some grow nutrients. I don't think they called it Buddha Grow at the time. It was actually called Roots Organics Grow and Roots Organics Bloom. And then eventually they changed the name to Roots Organic or Buddha Grow and Buddha Bloom. So kind of a cool little tidbit there for the industry folks that are interested in history.
That's early on.
So
yeah,
let's see here. Let me pull a trivia question here. What do you want to do, Gary? What do you want to give away?
Well, we got some of the terp teas and some of the uprisings.
Let's do a terp tea.
Yeah.
Let's do a terp tea here. Let's see here.
It sounds like everybody could use a terp tea because, like, I'm already sold on terp tea.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's see here. All right, here we go. So this is Rolling Stone magazine declared "Gotta Get You Into My Life" the all-time best song about weed. What Fab Four recorded the song? The first one to answer will win some terp teas.
I am no good at games like this. I'll put it out there right now.
Rolling Stone magazine declared "Gotta Get You Into My Life" the all-time best song about weed. Master Chief, there you go, the Beatles.
Nice.
Of course it was the Beatles.
Chief,
I do pop culture trivia with friends sometimes, and it's kind of comically hilarious how bad I am at it. So I'm not even going to try to answer any of these questions.
Hold on, I got to get a pen. Hold on a second. Sorry. Oh. Chief, hit me up on Facebook. You got my Facebook, or hit up Lizzie. Well, actually, you don't even have a Facebook now.
I don't have anything, Meta. No Instagram, no Facebook anymore.
I don't know if you can get messages on YouTube or not.
I've been thrown out.
Okay, all right. Chief,
on the comment section, at least, yeah.
Just hit me up in my DM then. That's fine. You know.
Hey, while we're here, find me on Discord.
Brooklyn Buddha.
There you go.
All right, so let's do another one here. Let's see here. We'll do an easy one here. Easy. All right, here we go. We're gonna do. What are we doing? We'll do some more terp tea or uprising. What do you want to do? Uprising?
Sure. Yeah, let's do some uprising.
All right, so here we go. In contrast to THC, what three letters are used to refer to the chemical compound in cannabis that is the non-psychoactive portion of the plant and has been shown to have relaxing and pain-relieving properties? First one to answer will win some uprising.
Oh, that's an easy one. Master Chief for the win again.
Twice in a row. So Paula.
Paula close.
You can't win twice in a row. Paula. There we go. We got uprising. And all right, let's do another one here. This one's going to be for an Aero Mixer 50% off gift certificate.
Hell yeah,
nice.
It's a good one.
Aero Mixers rock.
Those, bro, let me tell you, I love using those with the terp teas, dude. You know,
Yeah.
you the once you know that they're doing good at when they first start rolling. You know, the little bit of bubbling and whatnot. You come back a couple hours later, and it's just foam. Lovely foam. And that's how you know you're like, yeah, it's ready. You know what I mean? Like it's you can go in like right there. Like sometimes I'll cut it like 6 hours, you know what I mean, and go in and it's perfectly fine. You know what I mean? It's especially with the aero mixer because you can just crank it up, you know, and you just and really get it rolling. But so let's do a 50% off. I'm gonna up the intensity on it now here and the questions here. Let's see here.
Yeah, and the Aero Mixer, I will say, great addition to any of the Roots Organics products. I mentioned hand watering earlier. It's actually, you don't have to do just hand watering. You can use products like an Aero Mixer for feeding these plants. It goes through Aero Mixers or most inline pumps really well. It's once it gets to the drip irrigation where it can become an issue. So Aero Mixer.
To tie into that, because how you mentioned earlier, the drip irrigation, what a lot of people do is the like you mentioned, the Aero Mixers with your products is the pump with a hand wand, which a lot of people like to use, and I imagine that works just absolutely perfect. Yeah.
All right, so here we go. For the 50% off Aero Mixer coupon, there are 3 main species in the genus Cannabis: Cannabis sativa, Cannabis indica, and what third species, a low THC variety found in Eastern Europe? First one to get it, 50% off the Aero Mixer.
And I hate it. The original
there we go,
Paula. Paula already got it, so she already won one. Master Chief already won, so whoever says it next.
I get it, Eric Page.
Eric Page, there you go.
I just want to do a quick shout out for Eric Page. Congrats on winning that trivia right there. Eric is no disrespect to my other testers, but Eric has been with me through the long haul. He's been my original #1 tester. He's a fantastic grower. If you guys ever want to see some beautiful flowers, follow him on his social medias and see what he posts. It's absolutely fantastic. I promise you.
Nice.
So thank you, Eric.
That's great.
Awesome.
Auto trash. Nice.
I hate autos, man.
Hey, you guys remember the original lowriders that came out? Like, what was that? 2000.
Oh yeah. Those were Ruderalis varieties, right? Or crosses?
Yeah, the original lowriders. Yeah, they were fucking shit plants. They were really short, but they grew. It was for people that really wanted to hide shit and get shit done quick. I want to say 2005, 2006. Man, those were looking back like they were trash.
I'm not a big fan of.
I'm not an auto fan, but anybody that does autos, if you want the best autos, you gotta check out Rockbud Inc. He makes some. If I ever considered autos, it would have to be that.
You can't get me to grow an auto flower. Cut my fucking head off before I grow one of those motherfuckers.
I honestly just did my first one this last winter round. I did like an indoor round, and I was pleasantly surprised. It turned out pretty decent. It was like an old seed that I just kind of had in a drawer for a long time. Somebody gave me, and it kind of crushed.
I mean, obviously,
no problem, Eric.
Pheno dependent. Sometimes they surprise you, but you know.
Yeah. Every time I run them, bro, I have a calamity. So I gave up on those fucking things, man. It's always something bad happens. It's like, tent implosion. I've had, negative pressure fucking, tent collapses. I fell and took out a tent. I'm like, every time I've grown them, something bad's happened where it's just wiped out a grow. So I just, they're cursed. It's like voodoo.
Yeah.
Won't even bother with them, you know what I mean? So, but what was I gonna say? So I know that we're getting a little lengthy on time here, so maybe we'll do one or two more questions,
Yeah.
trivias or whatever, and we'll start to wrap it up so that we don't keep everybody. You know, it's I know people got stuff to do. We appreciate everybody hanging out, but we don't want to keep everybody all night either. So,
Yep.
what do you want to do, Gary? A couple of terp teas again, or you want to do something amino aid or something like that? You want to do some aminos or something?
Sure. Yeah, we could do amino aid. Yeah, let's
All
do
right.
a quart of amino aid.
Let's do an amino aid. Oh, all righty, nice. All right, so we're going to go with. You want to do one, Gary?
I mean, I don't got any trivia in front of me. If you got
All right,
questions,
I got one.
You got it, man.
All right, let's see here. I got one. Okay, here we go. First one, answer this. That hasn't won already. What up, Gary? What highly flammable hydrocarbon solvent can be passed through an extraction tube filled with marijuana to produce a sticky liquid known as honey oil, resin?
Shatter.
What highly flammable hydrocarbon?
That's an easy one.
Somebody's got this.
Lighters.
Master Chief again.
Again, come on.
Too quick.
Nope. Come on.
Oh, come on, you guys. BHO.
There you go, Washington Yoma.
Washington. Hey, what's up, Washington?
Yep. That's funny. Yep, butane.
All right, it looks like some of these guys wanted some rain as well. Looks like make it rain. Some of these guys want to see some rain for we could give away some rain. Yeah.
All right. Let's see what we got here. Let me see what else here. What else we got here? All right, here we go. Let's see who gets this one. All right. I just got promoted, and it's all thanks to Yes, I Cannabis is an iconic quote from Weekend at Burnsies, a season 13 episode from what long-running animated sitcom?
Ooh, I don't know this one.
Burnsies.
Oh, I should know this one, actually.
Come on, who's got it?
Let's see.
Who's got it? Let's see. I just got promoted, and it's all thanks to Yes, I Cannabis. It's an iconic quote from Weekend at Burnsies. Robert Carroll, Simpsons. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. It took me a minute to figure it out.
Yeah, that I remember that the Simpsons, man. I was a little kid when that shit first came out, and I remember going to school with like I'm Bart Simpson, who the hell are you shirts, and got thrown out of like 6th grade. You know what I mean? Got sent home and shit for it, like 6th, 7th grade or whatever it was. But I was young, and I'll never forget it, man. They made such a big deal about those fucking shirts, bro. They just every kid who wore one, you got suspended, sent home. Your mom had to come up with different clothes. Oh, it was just like they had such an issue with that stupid friggin' cartoon for a minute, man. It was like all kids in schools were just persecuted for wearing those shirts, dude. I'll never forget it when I was younger. That's how old that damn show is, man,
Oh, it's been running for ages.
It's got to be.
Yeah, I think they're close to 30 seasons or something now.
30,
right?
coming up on 30 seasons, yeah,
And
I think.
it's even more than that, because you got to remember the first few were on Tracy Ullman back in like the early 90s, late 80s, you know what I mean? But the first original Simpsons were all the way back till then, so it's, shit. Damn, that was like 35 years ago, probably.
We got a Mr. Burns in the chat. That's great.
Oh, Mr. Burns. What's up, Mr. Burns?
89, so. But yeah, man, that's how long that shit. It's amazing how how some of these things have just stayed around. I mean, you would never think a cartoon would be around that long. It's crazy. But all right, well, I guess let's.
Good job on the trivia, guys.
Hey, I want to do one, Big Red, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead, brother. What do you
want to do? I want to do one for a pack of seeds. But first, I see Robert Carroll in here, and if that's Bob Carroll.
Yeah.
Okay, so I owe him still a pack of seeds, but obviously I've been banned from Facebook and Instagram, and I've been trying to reconnect with everybody, and it's
I'll
been
get you his
a
address.
mission. Yep, get with me, Bob, so we can get that out to you. But this next trivia question, I'm sorry, Eric Page, you don't qualify for this because you already know it, and you're already getting all my stuff. Okay, when it comes to our Frullato line, our cross, the Frullato, besides the Fruity Pebbles, what other strain is it made of? This is for a pack of seeds.
That should be an easy one.
Our Frullato is Fruity Pebbles and what?
I mean, someone gonna need to get hit in the head with a fucking tack hammer if they can't get this.
It's not gelato.
Oh, okay.
It's not gelato.
Well, then I'm stumped.
The cross is crossed with gelato.
Ooh.
This is more for who's been paying attention throughout the years with me. That's why I told Eric Page you cannot comment on this.
There's a lot of.
I'll give you a hint. Oh, Brian almost had it. You almost had it, Brian.
That was Silado.
Did I hear something? Did I hear something?
I'm not gonna say it.
There you go, Brian.
Brian, you're so close. No, it's not Do-si-do. It's in that cross.
Oh, okay.
Just
I'm still stumped then.
Put the two together.
Someone marry those two up.
Put the two together. Come on, somebody's got to say it.
No, not Girl Scouts.
It's 2 4-letter words.
Straight fucking fire is the only real answer. That's right.
Come on. It's 2
Okay, so
four-letter words.
What would you? Oh, no, that's close, Brian. God, Brian, you're almost there.
Add a letter.
No. Do-si-do and gelato make.
Come on, Brian, you have it. Put in.
There it is. Do-si-lato.
Nice. Way to go,
All right, Brian. You want a pack, Brian. You were so close on like 10 occasions. I'm sorry, Eric. You have everything already, though.
Well,
or at least all the good stuff.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to take up too much more of everybody's time tonight, so I just want to just end it with if there's any questions anybody has before we get off, throw them up now. Myself, Gary, anybody will answer them. If there's anything that anybody has any questions about. If not, definitely anybody who has any questions about, any Roots Organics products, they can hit up Gary, hit up the IG,
I'm managing all the DMs on the Roots Organic side of things. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out and DM me. I got rid of my personal Instagram as well, but I'm still rocking the Roots Organics IG.
So. Anything you guys want to,
Thanks,
if you need help with, coming up with, a little game plan or whatnot, Gary stepped in, and put together some stuff for that. I've handed out to a couple guys, so it's definitely a valuable, resource to use, and not a lot of companies, take that time, so definitely appreciate it, man. Definitely.
Hey, I appreciate you guys
coming.
I appreciate you coming on here, Gary. It's real awesome. Great information. And
Thank you very much.
Afterwards, Dave, if we could, the only way I'm going to be able to get a hold of you is I don't know if you have a number you want to give out,
but phone number or email or
because I'm only on Discord now. I've been banned from everything.
That's fine.
Yeah. I'm on Discord too, so that works. Not under Roots Organics, but I do have Discord, man.
I'll I'll get in touch with whomever needs to get in touch with, and get information or pass your information along.
Yeah, I have Brian. I need Bob Carroll so I can get his pack out to him.
No problem. I got you on that. I'll get all the information together, and same with you, Gary. I'll get the persons whom won tonight. I'll get their information and pass them along to you. You know, and
Perfect.
I appreciate you taking the time, man. You know, and I'd love to get you back on maybe later into the in the growth season and
I'd love to.
You know, and just get a little bit more involved in more specific stuff. Usage and whatnot, and scheduling and et cetera, so people can take in a little bit different information about usage and stuff. So
yeah. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for the support, guys. If I could do a little plug.
Yeah, of course.
Did we lose? Might have lost
Jay. Looks like Jay dropped off somehow.
Uh-oh. Well, let me give just a little plug for anybody that's going to be in Rochester or Lansing or Vancouver, Washington for the Canacons. I'm going to be at all the Canacons with the exception of the St. Paul one. I had a schedule conflict there, but there's a Rochester, New York one coming up in June. I believe there's a Lansing, Michigan one coming up in that's July, middle of July, 18th and 19th. And then there's one in October 3rd and 4th in Vancouver, Washington. So going to be getting across the country, doing some booths out there. You guys come and visit. Hopefully I'll have some samples.
I did Canacon in St. Paul. I did Canacon in St. Paul last year. It was that was the first year they did it there. It was pretty cool. It was
I wish I could make it. I had a schedule conflict.
We went and saw Metallica and Pantera fucking
rad.
So yeah, so it was actually turned out to be a good trip, and it was real good. But the Rochester, I think we're going up to Rochester too, so I'll probably see you up there at that one.
Yeah.
But anybody, like you said, anybody who does go to any of those Canacon conventions and you stop by the booth, just mention that you caught it, on the live or whatnot, and Gary will give you some soil to carry home.
Yeah. It's actually really helpful at those shows because I don't pack the soil out. So if you're around, I'd love to give you a display bag. That'd be great.
Hey, that's less work.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Oh, bro, I felt so bad for some of the guys that were leaving those shows. I'm like, they did hours and hours of cleanup. We were folded up. We're out of there in like 32 seconds, Some of these guys were there for hours and hours and hours. You know it because the booths were just so elaborate. I'm like, why, oh, why would you do that to yourself, Oh, my God. But, all right, guys. Well, thank you again, Gary. Man, it was awesome hanging out, brother. And
thank you, Gary.
Thank you guys both. Appreciate Jay Blizz, Big Red. You guys rock. Thanks for having me on the show. I'd love to do it again in the future.
Appreciate it, man.
Thanks for all the support.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Next week is House and Gardens. I think we have on, guys. So definitely, keep a lookout for what we got coming on next week. It's either House and Gardens or Optic Folio. I forgot who it was who we had scheduled, but definitely take a look out. For that, and definitely Gary, again, thank you so much. Jay, as always, thank you, brother, and I'll see you
man,
for next live. And everybody who tuned in, thank you so much, and I'll be in touch to get you guys stuff out to you. All right, and
come find me on Discord, you guys, please.
Yeah, I'll post Jay's stuff for Discord too over on my on the page, and you can also find it. I'll put it on the YouTube also. You guys will be able to find it there too. All right, guys.
Hell yeah.
All right. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you again. We'll talk
See you guys
very soon, man.
Thanks, everybody. All right.